Hi! Nothing beats that rush when you and your friends scream your way into a brand new co-op masterpiece, or when you're fighting back-to-back against enemies in a high-stakes multiplayer match. Joint raids, hilarious teammate blunders, and the pure joy of a shared victory, that's what gaming is all about. The industry isn't slowing down, and we're about to get a massive wave of awesome multiplayer projects. Today, I've put together a list of 20 upcoming co-op and multiplayer games that you and your squad definitely need to add to your wishlist. Let's go! The Mound, Omen of Cthulhu. Picture this. You and your friends head to an alternate South America in search of untold riches, but instead of gold, you find pure horror and madness. The Mound is an upcoming co-op horror game heavily inspired by the works of Lovecraft. We're promised not just typical monster fights in the jungle, but an entire voyage on a ship with inland expeditions. Terrifying mutants and invisible beasts roam these lands. The main goal for your 4-player team is to find the rift, perform the necessary rituals, and somehow keep your sanity intact. The developers state that as players venture deeper into the island and face powerful bosses, they'll start experiencing severe hallucinations. A teammate who loses their mind can easily mistake you for a monster and open friendly fire, or in the worst-case scenario, turn into a monster themselves. Stronghold 4. The legendary series is back, and this time, the creators are promising the most brutal and realistic England in the history of the franchise. In Stronghold 4, we'll rise from a simple shepherd to a powerful lord. The team is heavily banking on atmosphere, a harsh climate where snow ruins crops and heavy rain cuts down your archer's range. You won't just be swinging a sword either, you'll need to carefully manage the economy, collect taxes, and build massive feudal castles packed with decorative elements. They've announced support for up to 8 players on the biggest maps the series has ever seen. If the devs are to be believed, taking an enemy fortress head-on will be practically impossible. You'll have to dig tunnels, plant gunpowder mines, and masterfully deploy siege weapons. Call of Duty: Modern Warfare 4. In the upcoming Modern Warfare 4, the developers plan to turn the story completely upside down. Captain Price himself is set to be one of the main antagonists. The campaign and multiplayer maps will drop us onto a war-torn Korean peninsula where a fragile ceasefire has collapsed, as well as the neon-lit streets of New York, nighttime Paris, and Mumbai. We're promised a much darker and more emotional narrative where long-standing conflicts reach a boiling point. But the promises regarding multiplayer sound even more interesting. The developers are talking about a revolutionary map generation system. Locations will consist of randomly changing tiles, potentially creating around 1,000 unique layouts. Memorizing maps won't work anymore. You'll have to adapt on the fly while dodging dynamic objects and natural disasters. On top of that, we're getting updated modes and a completely overhauled ballistics system. Sievert 2. This is a co-op extraction shooter that takes the hardcore survival formula, flips it into a top-down perspective, and drops you right into a radioactive wasteland. According to the developers, we can expect grim zones crawling with mutants and scavengers, where your main goal is to hunt down valuable artifacts and make it out alive. These relics give awesome stat boosts, but using them is highly risky. The devs claim an unstable artifact can suffer a catastrophic failure right in your hands. The sequel introduces long-awaited co-op for up to 4 players, so you won't have to suffer alone anymore. The team promises a deep progression system across 4 builds, from combat to ingenuity, and over 30 types of moddable weapons. You'll also have to navigate relationships with 3 different factions, taking on their quests and managing your reputation. Mistfall Hunter. An intriguing third-person PvP action game. The world here has been shattered by a war among gods, and humanity has turned into mutants. Players will take on the role of resurrected treasure hunters. You pick one of the unique classes, like the Mercenary, Sorcerer, or Shadowstrix, tweak your build, and head out after ancient relics. The developers are positioning the game as extremely hardcore. You can play solo or in a 3-player squad, but death means losing your entire inventory and all your raid progress. Your enemies won't just be powerful mutant bosses, but also other greedy players ready to stab you in the back. Wreck Runners. A co-op extraction horror game set right in the Bermuda Triangle. You work for a shady corporation and head into this mysterious region to pull off deadly missions. The creators straight up say, this is a place where you cannot survive alone. The world around you will constantly shift, throwing terrifying monsters your way. Your main task here is to find valuable loot and haul it back to your base on wheels or wings using a specialized tool. The creators are putting a massive emphasis on physics. According to them, every grab, every throw, and every desperate attempt to secure your cargo will feel incredibly realistic, especially when the map is literally falling apart before your eyes under a monster assault. If the team can pull off this panic-driven physics model, we're in for an incredibly fun and high-adrenaline co-op experience. World War I, Gallipoli. This multiplayer game will plunge us into the brutal realities of World War I. Trench warfare has ground to a stalemate, and the Allied forces are launching a massive amphibious assault. The developers are letting us pick a side. You can play either as the troops storming the beaches or as the Turkish soldiers tasked with holding the fortifications at all costs. We're promised massive battles across coastal dunes and deserts. In these large-scale 25 versus 25 battles, every player will have a specific role to play. The creators are flexing historically accurate weapons and gear, warning that the guns will feel heavy and reloading will take time. The outcome of a battle might even depend on your soldier's psychological state under heavy fire. And for those who love variety, the team is prepping an expedition mode, where we'll head out to attack or defend the Suez Canal in Egypt. Ace Combat 8. The latest installment promises to put us back in the cockpits of fighter jets and bombers in a brand new multiplayer action game. The story campaign will drop us into an elite squadron of pilots. But the main course here is definitely the multiplayer. For the first time in the series, the developers are promising deep integration for the online mode. We'll be able to hang out in the online hub of our airbase, customize our avatar, and tweak our plane's stats before taking off. The gameplay itself will keep its signature arcade feel. You don't need a degree from the Flight Academy here, just great reflexes to land a jet on an aircraft carrier and dodge incoming missiles. The creators claim that your performance in multiplayer sorties might even affect the survival of story NPCs. The Ranchers. Tired of endless wars and grim mutants? Then hop in the pickup truck, we're heading to the countryside. The Ranchers is an upcoming farming simulator. The developer's vision drops you onto a rundown ranch that you'll have to repair and expand. We're promised a massive laundry list of activities, from raising livestock and growing crops to gathering resources, buying new machinery, and upgrading tools. And the cooler your farm gets, the more lucrative orders will start rolling in. The game will feature 4-player co-op, where you can work together to restore the land and clear quests. The team promises a robust economy. You'll be able to auction off your organic produce, join trading guilds, and buy rare seeds. And when the field work is done, the game turns into a relaxing sandbox. The developers plan to add a massive open world where you can swim in the lake, fish, and cruise around town in your own car. Serious Sam, Shatterverse. An upcoming co-op project set in the Serious Sam universe. This time around, the plot revolves around the multiverse. Sam is so badass that he's hunting down mental minions across different dimensions. But even heroes like him can occasionally go down against overwhelming odds. And that's where the co-op kicks in. According to the devs, alternate versions of Sam arrive from other worlds to form the most brutal squad in history and avenge their fallen brother. Gameplay-wise, the creators promise to bring us back to the classic roots. This is going to be a skull-crushing shooter with linear levels and an absolutely ridiculous number of enemies per square foot. But there's a twist. Due to the shattered reality, dangerous spatial anomalies will pop up on the maps. The creators claim that stepping into one of these zones could be fatal, or it might do the opposite, give you a random buff or teleport you right behind enemy lines. Minecraft Dungeons 2. The developers are working on a direct sequel. According to the creators, we can expect a logical evolution of the original's ideas. No messing around with building houses or chopping wood. Just pure action, crowds of mobs, and tons of loot. We're promised a massive adventure in a world rapidly being overtaken by the forces of evil. To fight back, players will explore randomly generated levels and defeat bosses for valuable treasures. The main hook of the game remains the same, no rigid class locks. The authors state that your role in the 4-player co-op will depend entirely on the build you put together. Throw on heavy armor if you want a tank, or grab a bow and artifacts to deal damage from afar. The devs promise to add hundreds of new items, advanced enemy AI, secret missions in other dimensions, and challenging daily trials. The Legend of California. This is an upcoming multiplayer survival shooter where you and your friends will build your own ranch completely from scratch. The creators assure us that players will roam a wild version of California on horseback, look for the perfect spot by a river, and dig their own mine. Mining gold ore will be the key to getting rich. You can use your hard-earned cash to build stables, livestock pens, and a kitchen that will provide your cowboys with stamina buffs. In co-op mode, you'll have to fight off PvE enemies. But if you're a risk-taker, welcome to PvP, where you'll have to defend your lands from other players' raids and launch attacks on enemy ranches yourself. The creators are putting a heavy emphasis on the shooting mechanics, promising that accuracy and reaction time will mean everything. It sounds like an awesome chance to feel like a true pioneer, assuming, of course, the project makes it to release in the way it's been promised. Star Wrath. This one is a hybrid of a space sim and a hardcore extraction shooter. According to the lore dropped by the developers, Earth has been destroyed, the remnants of humanity are huddling in orbit, and the only way to survive is by mining resources from asteroids. The most ambitious feature we're being promised is a highly detailed ship builder. You'll be able to build your starship literally bolt by bolt, from a nimble interceptor to a sluggish destroyer. They're also promising to implement realistic physics, where the mass of each module directly affects your inertia and maneuverability. You and your squad fly out on a raid, hunt for valuable minerals, load them into your cargo hold, and try to extract before competitors scrap you for parts. The developers suggest using the environment to your advantage, like hiding from enemy radar in cosmic nebulas or setting up ambushes there. Any module on your ship can be shot off in combat, so smart armor placement is going to be a matter of survival. Permafrost. Extreme cold, hunger, and an endless winter, that's what's waiting for us in the upcoming survival game Permafrost. The developers plan to take us to the year 2035, where a global cataclysm has turned the planet into an icy wasteland. We're promised exploration of frozen megacities in up to 4-player co-op. Surviving solo here will be practically impossible, so the creators came up with an awesome feature. You can get a dog companion. Your loyal pup won't just help haul your scarce loot, but will also give you early warnings about approaching deadly storms. According to the devs' promises, the gameplay will be a daily struggle for survival. You'll need to monitor your body temperature, drink hot water on time, and keep yourself fed to avoid dying from hypothermia. The squad will have to hunt wild animals, craft makeshift weapons, and most importantly, build a warm shelter. They've even announced the ability to set up an indoor garden inside your base to grow food and ride out severe blizzards. Enginefall. Imagine a post-apocalypse where instead of a traditional base, you have a massive, armed-to-the-teeth armored train. The developers are promising a multiplayer shooter where we'll find old, rusty locomotives, slap armor and guns all over them, and cruise through radioactive wastelands. Your train is your fortress. The authors assure us that you can outfit the interior with pretty much anything, from armories and workshops to luxury first-class cabins for the crew to chill out in. The gameplay revolves around raids. You deploy to a location, vacuum up resources, and run for extraction. But other players' trains can be running on parallel tracks, which will lead to high-speed shootouts between mega trains and mid-motion boarding battles. The developers are pitching the game as a social sandbox where you can form alliances, build bases together, and then stab each other in the back for valuable loot. Den of Wolves. This one comes from the creators of Payday. This time, we're being transported to a gritty, sci-fi megacity right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that's packed to the brim with megacorporations. These giants are constantly at each other's throats, and your 4-player crew of mercenaries will be doing their absolute dirtiest work, from industrial espionage and sabotage to raiding warehouses. But the authors are promising more than just typical heists. This is a full-on techno-thriller. Some missions will actually take place directly inside the target's subconscious minds. There, your team will have to face monsters spawned by the human psyche. The developers claim that stealth in this game will be incredibly difficult and will require flawless teamwork. But if you screw up somewhere and trip the alarm, the game instantly turns into high adrenaline chaos. ENDALOR. Next up is a medieval survival and crafting sim. The developers promise to drop us into a brutal fantasy world where nature is just as ruthless as its inhabitants. We'll have to cross an entire continent, build fortified castles, establish trade, and decide the fates of local rulers, whether we want to fight them or make friends. But stay alert. The authors are doubling down on hardcore elements. The combat system here is heavily tied to stamina, and the creators straight up say that just one missed hit from a powerful enemy can instantly send your character to the grave and wipe out hours of progress. To survive in 4-player co-op, players will need to clearly divide responsibilities. While some chop up monsters with axes on the front lines, others will need to rain down arrows on enemies or heal allies just in time. To upgrade your base and craft top-tier gear, you'll have to go on risky runs, descending into dark caves, climbing mountains, and infiltrating guarded castles for rare resources. Blind Descent. Imagine you're part of a 4-person expedition heading into the underground catacombs of Mars to locate missing colleagues. But a routine mission quickly turns into a brutal fight for survival in a highly hostile ecosystem. The developers are brewing up a world full of subterranean storms, toxic gases, and terrifying alien creatures. The main hook promised by the creators is genetic mutations. To survive, players will have to alter their own DNA, unlocking new skills. We'll be navigating Mars' vertical world using climbing gear and advanced vehicles. We'll have to gather resources, craft equipment, and build bases out of alien Martian materials. Rules of engagement. A far future Earth has survived an alien invasion and is now covered in unstable anomaly zones crawling with mutants. Hidden dead center in the so-called Gray Zone is a powerful artifact that every corporation in the world is hunting down. Playing as an elite operative, you're dropped right into this chaos. Everyone starts out with basic starter gear, meaning you'll have to scavenge the map on the fly to find higher weapons and equipment. The developers are promising a tense psychological dilemma during raids. On one hand, time is limited, the mutants are strong, and early on, players absolutely need to work together, otherwise, the anomaly will swallow everyone up one by one. But as you get closer to the end and the artifact is finally found, the game turns into a paranoid thriller. Will an all-out war break out over the grand prize, or will you decide to quietly slip away through a personal extraction point with whatever loot you manage to gather? Animula Nook. After all these grim mutants, radioactive wastelands, and hardcore firefights, the developers are inviting us to take a breather and dive into an incredibly cozy life sim. We'll be playing as tiny little people. There is absolutely no violence, no enemies, and no timers here. Just pure relaxation, exploration, and limitless creativity in the company of friends. The creators promise to show us everyday objects from a completely different perspective. Indoor plants turn into dense, untamed jungles, a regular coffee cup can become a cozy little shop, and an empty can be transformed into a high-rise building. In co-op, you can gather buttons, coins, and other small items scattered around rooms to customize your home, craft beautiful furniture, open up a bakery with fresh pastries, or even start your own band. It looks like it's going to be a wholesome sandbox perfect for unwinding with friends after a long day. And that's the full list. The developers are cooking up something for every type of gamer out there, ranging from incredibly sweaty, hardcore extraction shooters where you can lose everything in a split second, to insanely cute and cozy sandboxes made just for relaxing after a hard day's work. I hope I helped you find at least a couple of interesting titles, because highlighting gems like these is exactly why I make content. The Image Game channel was with you. Have a nice day.